5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome, 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 welcome. Good evening to you. Welcome to the Speak with Dilys show that is broadcast every Sunday at 8 p.m. GMT because I'm in London. How are you guys? Thank you very much for joining. I hope you don't mind me having a swig of my coffee. I try not to slurp. I hate slurping. Hi, Ifwa. How are you doing? Thank you guys for joining. Please, as soon as you join, invite somebody. Sharing is caring, guys. Good evening, good evening. Thank you for showing me the love. Hi, Missy. How are you doing? Thank you guys for jumping on here. I really appreciate it. Guys. Thank you, Isaac. Thank you, guys. Hello. Shirley answers, hi, Dilys. Thank you for jumping on here. I know that, guys, I'm making you jump from here to there. Good evening, Isaac. How are you doing? Lovely to have you on here. Aisha, my one and only. How are you doing, my love? Tasha, how are you doing? Guys, if you could share this. Oh, hello, Anita. How are you doing? Oh, I feel really special now. Hello, Afolabi, who is great. Shares all my stuff. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Tasha. Good evening, my love. Pamela Thompson, thank you for being on here. Hello, Denise. How are you? And Kerry, I have to apologize to you. I've been meaning to respond to your message and it's just been a bit crazy. So as I was getting ready, I thought I must respond. And then I looked at the time and thought, girlfriend, you're running late. Hi, Abena, how are you doing? Thank you, Tasha. You know what? I was feeling like the weather in England, which just looks bloody miserable. So I thought, you know what? Wear some bright lipstick, kind of fix up yourself like you're going out, you know, so that's kind of what I try to do. Thank you, Anita. Hi, Faith Clinton. How are you doing? Hello, Alison. Lovely to have you on here. Hello, Marvin. How are you doing? Yes, it's really lovely to have you guys on here. Good evening. Hi, Lawrence. For those of you that have never been on here before, I do like to greet people for as long as I'm able, because after a while, I'm not going to see who's jumping on here. And for me, I think the fact that you would spend your Sunday with moi, thank you, Jamie. Hi, Jamal. You know, it's something that I should be grateful for. And hi, Shell. Shell's been amazing. You guys have been very supportive. This is the 11th episode of Speak with Dilys. And I have to say, most of you are on here nearly every Sunday. So I really appreciate it. And I also appreciate the fact that, you know, you are allowing me to have conversations that are quite difficult. So please do share. Thank you, Isaac. Isaac is encouraging everyone watching to share. So that really there should be 20 shares if you guys are showing me some love. And do support, because at the end of the day, you know, everybody likes to feel encouraged. Everybody likes to, you know, be spurred on. It can be tough. Some of these topics, you know, after you guys may have gone to bed, you know, I always watch my videos back to see, you know, what I could do better. I have to, you know, perfect my craft. So I don't just, you know, do the live and be like, oh yeah, I've cracked it. There's other things, so that if I have to come back and revisit a topic, I know that there's things that I need to, you know, look at again. So Hetty, thank you for joining. Rosemary, thank you for being on here. Katie, lovely to have you. And Nana Ekuya, lovely to have you guys on here. I really appreciate it. So let's get cracking, because I really don't want to waste too much time, because I don't think an hour is never long enough, but you know how it is. But before I get into that, how are you guys doing this evening? Show me some love, give me some hearts, some thumbs up, comments. How are you guys feeling this this Sunday? Hi, Amari, thank you for jumping on in. Thank you for being on here last week. You must have enjoyed it if you're back this week, so that's good. Yes, and you know what? I love you guys, you know. The way you even say hi to everybody, it's so nice. It's like this whole little community. So, you know, it's a real blessing for me, because I don't see this anywhere. You know, I really don't see it. So thank you. Oh, Mamisa, that pretty lady. Thank you for jumping on it. And Michelle Connolly as well. And yeah, it's just, I have so much respect for you guys and the way you treat each other, and the fact that the comments are always respectful. They're very supportive, even if you don't necessarily agree. It's just a lovely space, you know. Hi, Esther. How are you doing, my girl? You know, so yes, thank you, Anita, for jumping on here as well. It's just nice, you know, it's just, you're just a group of very nice people. So guys, please do share. We're going to get cracking. So for those who have never been on here before, thank you, Faye. Faye says, always looking forward to your sessions. Well, this is the 11th one. We've only got 2 more weeks to go. So y'all going to have to find something different to do on your Sunday evenings. But yeah, so if you're new to Speak with Dilys is something that I put together to create a safe space for people to have difficult conversations or conversations that they will not typically be able to have anywhere else. So that is why I do Speak with Dilys. So essentially, it's just talking about things that matter, people who count, and information that needs to be heard. Tonight is definitely about information that needs to be heard because we're going to be talking about suicide. So that's what the conversation is about. Decay, thank you for joining. Rosemary as well. And I think I have said hi to everyone that I can see thus far. If I haven't called your name, it means when you joined, it was a bit too quick. So I'm not ignoring anyone. You're all way, way too important. So what do I do? So for those of you that don't know me, what do I do? What does Dilys do? Dilys is a public speaker. She also is a qualified and accredited life coach, specializing in relationships, marriage, and grief coaching. I also do Christian coaching as well. Okay, so if you are a Christian and you are looking to really discover your purpose and what have you, the Christian coaching is off the chain. Anyone that has done the Christian coaching, Marvin, please feel free to leave your comments because God is good. You know, I'm also an event host as well. So if you're having an event, do let me know. Do hit me up, send me a message. I am also open to bookings for International Women's Day. I have 2 bookings so far. I will not have the capacity for many more. So if you know you have an event for International Women's Day and you would like me to be a speaker, do contact moi. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which, did I say YouTube? You can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Yeah, that one as well. And that will start to have all the series of Speak with Dilys uploaded on them so that it's easier for you to share. So that is what I'm going to be doing. Because of the Omicron nonsense, my Dining with Dilys, I've had to put it on hold. This thing, I've had this vision since last year, so it's a bit annoying. But anyway, and thank you for joining, my darling. Lynette, thank you for being on here as well. Thank you for the compliment, Rosemary. I try. I mean, guys, if you're going to jump on here every Sunday, the least I can do is look a bit decent. Can you imagine if I'm here looking wretched and one how? You'll just be logging off that, I don't want to see this ugly woman. This ugly woman that is spoiling the lens of my Facebook. So yeah, so I tried to make a bit of an effort. Hi, Gwen, how are you doing? Marvin says, true. Excellent Christian coaching changed my life. Oh, bless you. Yes. So I'm not going to talk your business. Marvin Bramble. But yeah, I love doing, that side of coaching as well. Okay, so let's get cracking. So today's episode of Speak with Dilys is about suicide. And I'm going to read to you what I put out there so that those that didn't see the flyer and stuff will know what we are going to be talking about. Guys, if you love what I do, can you please support me by just sharing this broadcast? If you haven't shared it already, the share button is just there. Just click share and just show some support. That would be very much appreciated. So let's get cracking. The winter months is normally when it's assumed that the highest suicide rates occur, but not according to research. It's rather the late spring and early summer months. According to the World Health Organization statistics, 700,000 people commit suicide each year. This figure does not include attempted suicide. I'm going to repeat that. 700,000 people commit suicide each year. This figure does not include attempted suicides. Though the majority of suicides can be attributed to mental illnesses, including depression, there are other impulsive suicides due to relationship breakdown or financial issues, to name a few. We think of suicide and we picture adults, but children take their lives too. In 2019, suicide was the 4th leading cause of death amongst 15 to 29-year-olds globally, and that's according to the World Health Organization. The devastation of suicide is indescribable and is a tougher grief journey for those left behind. And I put in brackets, so we have a vested interest in supporting people. It's not someone else's problem. So welcome to the 11th episode of Speak with Dilys, Ashes to Ashes. This will be a sensitive yet informative discussion exploring causes, prevention and support. See you this Sunday, and this Sunday is here. So thank you very, very, very much for joining. So guys, if you are ready to have this conversation, show me some love, show me some thumbs up. What do you think about the topic, about the, Anita said shocking statistics? It's devastating, Kerry, who does a lot of work on suicide prevention, you need to go and check her out. What she's just posted is every 40 seconds, someone dies from suicide. This is a topic that affects everybody. Eunice says, she's joined. Thank you for joining. NM says, as always, you look on point. You're beautiful and wonderfully created. God bless you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. I was just saying that, you know what? If you guys are here every Sunday, I need to make an effort. Because if I come looking like I did 2 hours ago, in fact, I think you would block me. In fact, you would report my page to Facebook. But yes, you know, it's a very serious conversation that we're going to be having today. And as always, I just love the support for one another, the advice, because you guys are the ones that make this show. It is not me, it is you. Guys, if you've just jumped on here, please do share. So what is suicide? Because I'm going to try and address this in 3 parts. What is suicide and why do people contemplate it or commit suicide? What are the warning signs and what can we do to help? I'm going to try and keep it real simple because I have an hour to discuss something that affects 700,000 people and their families globally. I'm not going to do much in an hour, but I'm going to try and do my best. The reason why these conversations are important, and for those that were on my personal page before I jumped on here, I was sharing that about 4 days ago, I was laying in bed at night, it was late, and I was praying for somebody, and the idea of suicide came, and I was praying that, you know, this person, that the Lord would just touch this person. Obviously, I'm Christian, so I pray for people, yeah? Whether they believe in God or not, I pray for people. That is my job. That is my job. That's my responsibility. So I was praying for this person. And then later on that day, somebody made a comment about this gentleman was saying how he missed his son. And when I went and checked his profile, he lost his son at the age of 10. This 10-year-old little boy committed suicide. And he was saying the failings that had happened even on the part of the police, because this young boy had actually sent a text message, or he'd called the police and nothing happened. So nobody, you know, found out where he was, nobody intervened. And this poor child succeeded in taking his own life. So later on after that day, something else happened. And I just heard, I need to do something on suicide. I'm like, I don't really know a lot about suicide. Not enough to do a show on it. But you know what? When sometimes you just have to go with the flow of things, and I decided, okay, well, let me see what I can do. And the number of people that reached out to me, thanking me for even thinking of having this conversation, I realized how important it was to have it. And at the end of the day, this show isn't about me anyway. It's about you. It's about your experiences. I'm like what's that word? I'm like an invigilator. So I would just put out the information and I just read your comments and we have a conversation. So that's how this particular episode, you know, came about. And then I just thought to myself, the number of people that are messaging me and commenting, this is more important and is touching and affecting more people than I know than you know, unless you have been in that position. To bring it home to me, just before I jumped in the shower, I commented on a page about this lady. She's an actress. I can't remember her name. She's a comedian. And she was talking about the fact that her life basically was ruined when her brother died, when she was young. That grief shaped her whole life. So I just put a comment on there and I said, I don't think people realize how devastating loss and grief can be. So, you know, people started commenting, blah, blah, blah. And because a lot of people had lost someone that were commenting under my post, I posted a link to the book. So this evening, this person made a comment that you're very strong. And she made a nice comment and I responded. A little bit of banter. And I said, actually, I'm doing a show tonight. It's on suicide. This is the link. I said, if you want me to send you the information, I'll send you the information. She said, yeah, please do. She looked at the flyer. She read the write-up and she said, she was going to take her life yesterday, just yesterday. She said, thankfully, she was able to reach out to her cousin who talked her out of it, and she's here today. We don't know what people are going through. And I think the real essence of this show, because I was thinking, so what is the core takeaway from this show? And I think the core takeaway for this show, for me doing this show, is for us to have a better understanding of why people contemplate suicide, what drives people to take their own lives, how we can support them, and how we ourselves can start to put preventative measures in place so that we don't fall into that trap. Because, and I don't want to go ahead of myself, but people assume that it's only mental illness that drives somebody to commit suicide. It's only depression. It is not. There are other contributory factors or other reasons as to why people commit suicide, and we're going to get into it. So I'm just giving you a bit of a background just to set the tone. The one thing that I will say, when I say this is a sensitive topic, it is a sensitive topic. When I say we must show the utmost respect, we need to. This is probably a time where we do a lot more listening than talking. So we need to not come with our religious jargon. I am a Christian. I'm a minister. I am not coming to preach to you tonight to invalidate or to rubbish what you are feeling or what you have been through. Because it will surprise you what some of my life experiences have been or what I have been connected to. So, it's just important that I set the tone, that this is a safe space. It's a space of compassion. It's a space of love. It's a space of hope. It's a space of encouragement. This is what this space is tonight on Speak with Dilys. So if I can get some hearts that you are in agreement, then we can crack on. So if we're all in agreement that this is the space that we're going to be in tonight, then absolutely wonderful, and God bless you for that. So let me read some comments really quickly, because I can see tonight is going to be one of them nights. Okay, thank you very much for those of you that have shared. Those of you who haven't, I don't love you anymore. The love is finished. So Aisha Ankara says, an act deliberately initiated and performed by a person in the full knowledge or expectation of its fatal outcome. And that was from the World Health Organization. Aisha, can I just say, I think you're an absolute diamond. And I think it's really lovely of you to be so on point that you'll go on the internet, post stuff for other people to benefit from. So can I just tell you now that I really do appreciate you and thank you very, very much. And this is why I'm saying that I don't carry this show, you guys do. So thank you so much. Theo, thank you for being on here. Katie says, not enough help for men. I feel men being let down. It's everybody. So today, and I mean, it's such a wide topic that I can't do it justice in an hour, and most definitely we'll revisit. And yes, men do suffer as well, just because of how they're wired as well. So that is a very important point. So thank you for making that point, Katie. Lucy, my darling, how are you doing? Shell says, I often suffer with suicidal ideation. You can feel suicidal, but not act upon it. Thank you for that, Shell. Thank you very much. I used to all my days, 10 years old. Yep, the child was just 10. There are younger kids. There was a boy, a little boy in America, 8 years old, who was being bullied at school. He took his life. He hung himself. And he says, even more heartbreaking when children commit suicide. Indeed. Abby Arapa, thank you for joining. I've not seen your name before. So if you are new, I hope you do enjoy today. Shell says, suicide is the biggest killer amongst young men, according to the Samaritans. Yep. And, I'm going to talk about Shell in a minute. We need to look at what is happening to children to understand why they are suicidal. 100%. Vivian, thank you for being on here. Aisha says, why do people plan and complete suicide? It could be anybody. Absolutely right. We're going to find out tonight. Enam says, I work part-time as a therapist at the crisis center, wonderful, here in Norway. And I've realized that any one of us can experience this. Whoops, okay, it's a bit of a long one. Everyone can experience this. It's normally as a result of long time issues or depression and the feeling of life not being worth it. When we are there, even our immune system drops, causing us to see no other way than suicide. It is a holistic issue that is difficult to write few lines on. Sometimes all they need is people helping the depressed to have have healthy perspectives about these challenges. Let's watch out for people we know and facing one thing or another. The feeling of loneliness is hard. God bless you. And you really have spoken about some of the stuff that I'm going to be touching on. SS as well, we definitely don't know what people are going through. Okay, guys, if I follow you people in your messages, I'm not going to get finished. Margarita, thank you so much for joining as well. And Susan Smith, lovely to have you on here. William, thank you for all your support. I really do appreciate you a lot. Sylvia Charles as well, and Nakuya Sarkodia, and Amos here as well. Gifty Sonia, thank you for being a part of this conversation. Guys, if you're on here, please do share. I'm gonna get cracking now. Okay, so we've been given the definition of what suicide is, and the fact that it can happen to any one of us because we don't know what life is going to throw at us. The myth that it is only people who are suffering from depression or long-term depression are the only ones who will contemplate or commit suicide is not true. Because sometimes suicide becomes something one contemplates because of a crisis that they're going through. And a lot of the time, you just want the pain to stop. You just want the pain to stop. You know, maybe a relationship has failed, or financially the walls are closing in because you're going to lose this, you're going to lose that, and you just don't know where to turn. And the idea of taking your life becomes an option because you just can't see any other way out. Now, when people are in that space, they need to be handled with care if we are fortunate enough to know that that's what they're going through. So what are some of the reasons for suicide? I've got here difficult life events, as I've mentioned. Sometimes it's attributed to traumatic childhoods and that constant tango of being in and out of depression. As you know, I used to run a charity raising awareness on rape, child abuse and domestic violence, and especially the child abuse element, not that the other two didn't also have its issues in regards to attempted suicide and suicide, but the issue of child abuse was something that just messes up your head. You know, if you can go through child abuse and survive and not have any mental health issues, it is a blessing. But by and large, that is not the story. And depending on the type of abuse, the length of time of abuse, the person who did the abusing, how you were rescued from the abuse, all those things have a knock-on effect on how you see your life and how much worth you place on your life and your relevance. Because what we have to understand about suicide, it is about perspective. It is not about your perspective of my life. It is about my perspective on my life. And if the perspective I have about my life is skewed because of what I have been through, it is by grace that you're going to be able to pull me out of there. But what you have to do is to listen to my perspective. There's no point you saying, oh, but Dilys, you know, you've got a lovely house, you've got this, you've got that, you've got everything to live for. We're going to talk about language as well in regards to people who have, you know, attempted suicide or contemplating suicide. There's certain things you just don't say. You know, the way this is flowing, I really don't want to go ahead of myself because there's so much information. I wanted to kind of break it up so that I can cover as much as I can. Now, some of the reasons why people commit suicide, as I've said, is sometimes there are life-changing issues that have happened that they cannot cope with. Like I said, relationship breakdown, finances, sometimes even the loss of a loved one can cause somebody to commit suicide. Trust me on that one. Trust me on that one. And it's not because of anything other than the fact that you just can't cope with the pain. The pain is indescribable. There aren't enough words in the dictionary to describe how that pain feels. Last week, I believe it was, a young couple in their 20s. The guy, the man or the husband committed suicide. He had a 1-month-old baby. The very next day, the wife committed suicide. That child was left an orphan. Who are you or I to sit there and say, but how could they do that? I mean, at least the mother, she should have lived for the child. Listen, the one thing that we should not do is try to speak on somebody else's reality. And we must come to a place where we are humble enough and compassionate enough to just say that we can't judge a man unless we've walked a mile in their shoes. I know what it's like to lose a spouse, but the one thing I always said was, thank God I didn't have young children or I wasn't pregnant. I look at women, and I have come across them because obviously I work with people who've lost, who've been widowed. And when I see one of my friends on Facebook, her son, he committed suicide. I just remembered. He committed suicide and left a pregnant girlfriend, fiance behind. She just had the baby last week. The reason why it's important for us to have this conversation and to be educated is just really simple. You don't know when it's going to be your child. You don't know when it's going to be your husband or your wife or your brother or your sister. You just don't know. And the point is, we can't afford to be ignorant. And because we don't know who it's going to be is why we're having this conversation, so that we can be more prepared, not just for that person that may disclose to you or that is having issues, but just the way we interact with people on a one-on-one, just generally speaking. I just remember that this lovely lady, she's in the States, she's a very beautiful woman. Yeah, because she messaged me many years ago, I have a lot of close Facebook friends I've never met in person, and she would say to me, pray with me. My son is having issues. He's suffered from depression and he's had some other things going on. And, I would pray for her. And, I was so sad when she said to me, finally, this is what has happened. We don't know what people are going through. Okay, so these are some of the reasons why people may contemplate suicide or, succeed in committing suicide. Sometimes it's anger at other people. Sometimes it is a cry for help. Sometimes people don't want to die. They feel so invisible that they just want somebody that will care. And that's why we sometimes see, some of those famous people who it looks like a suicide, but not quite sure if it was something that just went wrong. Was it a cry for help? It happens. The misuse of drugs and alcohol sometimes plays a part. People living alone, people that don't have any family, no support, people who feel isolated. They're thinking, well, if I died today, nobody would even know. My phone hasn't rang in the last however long. Community is important for people to feel that their life is of value. When people feel isolated and alone, thoughts of suicide when things are going wrong for them become more and more an acceptable way out. Yes? So let's bear that in mind. Having a mental health condition, as I've mentioned before, can be a great contributor to why people may contemplate suicide. Whether it's depression or schizophrenia or personality disorders, they can often contribute largely to people having suicidal thoughts or taking their own life. Having a physical health condition. And you see, the reason why I'm going through this list is because a lot of us can be very judgmental when we hear that somebody has committed suicide. And I am running through this so that once we have that background, we can listen with a different set of ears than maybe what we came with. Sometimes having a physical health condition can make people want to take their life or commit suicide, especially if it causes pain or it has resulted in a disability. Let me tell you something. If you take somebody like my late husband, you've got a man who is 6'2", very independent. This man doesn't want you to do anything for him. He was one of these people that anything around the house, I've changed my whole house now, but before, the wooden floors, the spotlights, the painting, the putting up the curtain, the blinds, everything, he did it. When it came to anything domestic, that was him. Even though I had my own car, he would drive me everywhere. This is somebody that's very independent. And then bam, out of the blue, without warning, your whole life changes. And the last 3.5 years of your life is not just with a disability, but with pain, excruciating pain, morphine-dependent pain. Who would I be to judge if my late husband decided to take his life? It's all right for me to say God will do it. God will heal. It's okay for me to say that because I'm not feeling the pain. He is. And I'm saying this because it doesn't suddenly become acceptable or suddenly become understandable because the pain was physical. There are people that feel the pain here. There are people that feel the pain here, who maybe once were that independent, but something happened in their life and it changed the whole trajectory of how they live or their perception. Life happens to people and life can be very unkind. You see, when people look at me and think, oh, Dilys, what you've been through, I keep saying, forget this, Dilys, your strong nonsense. This is what you call the grace of God. Only but the grace of God is what you see in front of you every Sunday. Don't ever get it twisted. I remember I went through a situation when I was 26. I was 26. A few things had happened. A few major things had happened, one after the other. I didn't want to live. I did not want to live. There was a point where I thought, why don't I just step in front of a car and I'll just be gone? Not for anything other than the fact that the pain of what I was going through, the pain was excruciating. It was unbearable. I didn't know how I was going to make it. I'm one of these people that when I'm going through stuff, I just keep myself to myself. I don't call nobody. I keep myself to myself. And that was what I decided I wanted to do. 26 years of age. What changed my life, what saved me, was I kept hearing this voice, go to church. Maybe that will help you. And it was a Thursday. And I went to church. And I sat in that service. And I literally held the tears. I wanted to cry. I think I did cry. And I was a crumpled mess. When the service was over, I think, you know what? Oh, dear. I might cry myself. Let's just keep it real tonight. Let's just keep it real. And I sat there. I'm really annoyed with you guys because my makeup is very expensive. And mascara, when it runs, is not attractive. And I sat there in that service. And all I could say was, I can't take it anymore. They're the only words that could come. I can't take it anymore. And I literally had to be carried. And what I found so hard, and this is another reason why people commit suicide, because sometimes you hear things. And what I heard constantly was, God hates you. I heard that constantly, God hates you. And I thought, well, if God hates me, then there's really no hope. But somehow I found myself in church that Thursday. And slowly but surely my life changed after that. Have I faced pain and depression since then? Yeah, I have. And this is why I'm saying that sometimes it's because people just want the pain to stop. And at the time, one of the major, what drove me there was I'd been separated from my son. And I just couldn't cope with the pain. That was all. When people are going through life and they're met with comments like, you're a coward, cowards commit suicide, you're taking the easy way out. You think killing yourself is easy? It's not easy. It's not easy. When you're hearing things like, well, you're going to go to hell if you take your life. Well, you go to hell. Because at that moment in time, the only thing that makes sense to that person that is in pain is their pain. that you have no idea what it feels like. And the only thing that helps us to continue to be human is our compassion and our ability to allow people to live their truth and support them in that space. Because when I think of some of the things that I've been through, it is but for the grace of God that I am still here. There are times where I've had to say, if not for my children, because you're thinking, this is not how I planned it. This was not in the plan. And my story is just a very small part of what many people, have gone through and are going through so much. I never say worse, because when you say people have got it worse, again, that kind of language is not helpful. Your worst is your worst. My worst is my worst. I can't say, well, you've been through that, but I've been through this. It's not a competition. Everybody's pain is in accordance to who they are and how they can manage it. So, what kind of thoughts do people have? They often feel that they've let themselves down and that they've let other people down. One of the biggest reasons is people feeling that they are a burden or that they are a failure, that they are of no value and therefore are not needed. Of course, these are all lies. And I said to the young lady that made a comment under my comment that, look at the kindness you showed me. I said, you're definitely somebody that would be missed. I would have been deprived of her interaction. If I had taken my life, you would have been deprived of it. But when people are going through that, that's not what they're thinking of. They're not thinking, oh, the world is going to be deprived of my presence, because at that crucial moment, you don't feel that anybody would care. Guys, if you're enjoying this, or if it's educating you, if it's helping you, please share this video. It would be really helpful, because I really do think that these are conversations, like I said, that we don't have often enough. I always try and speak about things that will make you guys go away and, like I say, make those local changes in your community. When we complain about how we must be our brother's keeper, we need to be more compassionate, we need to be more kind. These are things that have to happen locally. These are things that have to happen within the family. And then it, spills out into your local community, and it spills out and it just keeps rolling. We have to be responsible for that. There is no change that can happen without us taking the responsibility to be that change. So, if we can support by sharing the video, let's just do that, and having these conversations with other people. So the other thing is that people feel that there is no way out of the problem, or that they've lost everything. And the thought of maybe starting over again, sometimes it's an age thing, sometimes it's a shame thing. They don't want to do that. And for them, the best thing for everybody is what's being said in their head, is if I just die. But is it really the best thing for everybody? We have to start to value people and place value on people for them to know that you are important. If only one person was on this Speak with Dilys tonight, do you think I would have logged off? I would have stayed, because I don't know what that one person needs. I don't know. So I have to be present for that one person. Because number one is good. Because from one can come many. Some people feel guilty about contemplating suicide for various reasons. But don't make them feel guilty. Don't pile on the guilt, because it makes it even worse. It's more suffocating. So I think it's really a question of, again, language. Now, one of the things I have slipped in it, you know what, let me read some comments, because I'm sure there's loads. Ooh, okay, Susan Smith, I think I did welcome you. Thank you very much for being on here. Mavis Ajakum says, gosh, I need to take a deep breath. In fact, guys, if you're watching, this is heavy. Just roll your shoulders back. I've had a lot of tension in my neck. I've had a few spasms in my shoulders. So let's just kind of recenter, because this is a lot. It's a lot. Okay. So Mavis says we need to be educated and understand some facts on what leads many people to commit suicide. Love conquers all. Thank you for opening our minds on this. Most churches frown on suicide, which is honestly believe it needs to change or stop. Let me address that. Yes, you are correct. But the real church deals with these issues with love and compassion. I am a minister in my church, New Glory Chapel. Do you think if you came to me and said, Dilys, I'm thinking of killing myself, I would be telling you how quickly you're going to be going to hell? It's not possible. I would hope that I could give you a reason to want to live. That's what I would hope. As to what happens in the afterlife is not really a conversation I think I would even have with you. So yes, you're right. The church does need to start to wake up and take more responsibility and recognize that suicide is a symptom, is not the cause. There are people that are going through stuff that leads them to that place. And that's why I started with, why do people contemplate it? Because I think if we can start from that point, and me even sharing my personal business on here, it will give you a better understanding. Do you understand? So, yes, I think you're right. Sylvia, God bless you too. Shell says, if you lose someone to suicide, you are more likely to commit suicide yourself. That's really deep. Aisha says, research shows that people who are talking about suicide do not necessarily want to be dead forever. They just want this awful thing to stop. You're absolutely right. And I actually have that in my notes as well. You're absolutely right. And this is what I'm saying, that once we are able to educate ourselves and have a constructive conversation with people who are saying that they want to harm themselves for whatever reason, that the language that we use and the manner in which we support them, that we can meet them at their point of need, not at our point of understanding. Meet them at their point of need, not at our point of understanding. Because quite frankly, what we understand and whether we can get it because we've never been there is irrelevant. In that space, we are not the most important person. That person contemplating taking their life is the priority, not you and your beliefs. So you can park that. Cheryl says, a friend who spoke to someone in her church was told they'd pray the devil leaves them and how suicide was a sin. I mean, that's just stupidity and nonsensical rubbish. Send them to my church. We do real life there. We got real people, And I don't want to disrespect any church, but you see, ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance can kill. Okay? Ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance can kill. And that statement right there was ignorance. What would have been more helpful is to speak to that person. And this is another thing, and it's kind of a little bit, jumbled in the order I wanted to do things, but I would just go with the flow here. Language is important because what I would be asking is what happened? When you ask somebody what is wrong with you, listen to those words. What is wrong with you? What you do is you immediately make a judgment in that question without even realizing. There is something wrong with you. Why is there something wrong with you? Why is it just you? As opposed to what happened, you will have two completely different conversations. You will have two completely different conversations if you ask somebody, what happened? Why do you feel like this? As opposed to, what's wrong with you? Don't ask that question. Okay, Felicia Williams, thank you for being on here. Ayikwe, thank you for being on here as well. Cheryl says, there's a common response. You are lucky to have X, Y, and Z. You can't see that when you are suicidal. That's a disgusting thing to say to somebody. And, I'm going to get on to some other stuff as well. Faye says, some feel reluctant to reach out or express themselves because they're uncertain as to how people would react. And that's why we're having this conversation. And you're absolutely right, because we can be ignorant. And sometimes we don't know what to say. But you know what? Silence is a beautiful thing when somebody comes to you with a problem sometimes. Sometimes people are not looking for you to give them the solution. They're not looking to you for answers. They're not expecting you. It's like when my late husband and I, people said, I don't know what to say. I said, I'm actually not expecting you to say anything because there's nothing that you can say. We need to stop feeling that we are the ones with the answers. I work as a coach. I coach people to find the answers within themselves because they are the ones with the answers. I'm just your wingman. I'm just your blind spot. I'm just a person that says, have you checked here? Have you checked there? Can you see what's going on over here? and they reach their own aha moments. That's not me telling them what to do. You don't come, you see, this is where people get coaching confused, because some people think coaching is mentoring. As a coach, you do not tell people what to do. You coach, you teach, you show people how they can reach their own conclusions by asking relevant questions so that they can explore why they are where they are and why they've made the decisions that they have made. And I'm just telling you this in a nutshell. Guys, if you jumped on here, please share this video. I think it's important, as I said, that we have this conversation. So, these are some of the things that we need to think about, that we aren't the solution to somebody's problem, but we can help them find that solution. And knowing the right things to say, the kind of support we can give them, the kind of questions we can ask, the kind of encouragement we can give, it's a life-changing thing for them. Okay, let's stop making it about ourselves and make it about the person whose life is possibly hanging in the balance. Yeah. Faye says, okay, that was Faye's comment. So Lynette says, it isn't gender specific. I speak to students daily who tell me they feel suicidal. I can support them. However, when my 22-year-old confessed the same thoughts, I found it hard to practice what I preach. Lynette, you're human. When it's kind of like being a doctor and you're working, you've got your professional hat on, there's been a car accident, somebody's been rushed in and da-da-da. Come on, when that's your child, that's different. So no one's going to knock you for that. And I pray that your did you say your son? Or you didn't say? Okay, so I pray that your child is doing better. And at least take something very special, that they were able to come to you. And this is why we're having this conversation, that we create an atmosphere, or we become people that others can come to. Yes? I used to say, Lord have mercy, suicide causes a ripple effect which impacts individuals, families, and the community. And that's why we need to make sure that we are not flippant, we are not ignorant, we are not judgmental, we are not dismissive, because it could be somebody that you know. So, this is why we're here this Sunday evening. Gwen says despair, not seeing a way out, but suicide. Yes, absolutely. Anise says how horrendous. So I'm not quite sure which bit you were talking about. Were you talking about the possibility of me showing up on a Facebook Live looking like I normally do just before I put my makeup on? Maybe that's what she meant. Sylvia says, suicide is not, as they say, a coward's way out. It is a means to an end for very many. And until you are in someone's predicament, you should not comment, as you have no idea what they are going through. Some situations cannot be resolved, unfortunately. And it's true. But you see, when we say it can't be resolved, in their minds it can't be resolved, there is always a solution. The solution may not be easy, but there is always a solution. Cheryl says, never be afraid to talk about suicide with a person. If they are brave enough to talk to you, be brave enough to listen to them. God bless you. Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying that sometimes you've got to know when to just zip it. Just be quiet. Just be quiet. If you're a Christian and you want to pray, you can pray when the person has left. In that moment, that may not be what they want to hear. Like I said, it's not about you. It's about that person, what they can manage, what they're going through, what they can bear. Do you understand? That's what's important. Okay. Katie says, the reason I didn't have IVF again after I lost my son is I didn't want to leave them feeling the pain I felt losing my mum and dad. Might sound stupid to others, but to me it makes sense. Actually, Katie, it doesn't sound stupid at all, because when that thought has come, when things were so overwhelming for me, I'm like, I can't do this because of the pain they would feel. So it's not stupid. It's not stupid at all. Amari says, be kind if it can be the act that saves someone. Absolutely. Compassion and love, it solves the world's problems, We don't realize, Anita told me a story this morning when we were speaking, and she said that somebody had gone to church, and when they had gone to church, I can't remember where the church was, the pastor, or whoever was the leader of the ministry, was going around greeting people, and he just happened to greet this person, and this person said, you don't know what your hello has done for me, because I was actually going home to go and kill myself. You don't know what people are going through. I shared, in my ministry just the other day, that if I hadn't told people that I had lost my late husband, people would not look at me typically and know that that was my story. You wouldn't look at me and know, oh, this is what Dilys has gone through. Because you don't smell it on people. You don't smell it on people. It's things that happen and people manage and cope with it as best as they can. Kerry says, if people are kind and respectful and supportive, the world would be a better place. And depressants can also add to depression. You're absolutely right. We have to look at the circumstances and put a plan in place for well-being. Thank you, Kerry, for making that important point. And it's somewhere down there somewhere. But as you've made that point, let's talk about it. Wellness and well-being is a holistic thing, as somebody I think mentioned before. Sometimes certain medication that is prescribed can lead to suicidal thoughts. Check your medication. Check your medication and share the effects of your medication with somebody who is close to you. So that when certain things start to manifest, we will be able to identify it and give you the necessary support. So what are the warning signs or possible mental health issues connected to suicidal thoughts? I'm just going to read this. Feeling like nothing makes you happy anymore. So, you know, nothing can kind of get you out of that state. Hopelessness, feeling sad, not wanting to get out of bed, sleeping more, eating less, not wanting to shower, your sleep pattern being affected, drinking more, maybe substance abuse, or maybe, you know, abusing substances more, or drinking more than you would normally. Not showing up at work, not showing up at lectures and stuff like that, just basically not wanting to interact. And somebody, I think, mentioned about that kind of depressive state affecting your immune system. Yes, it does. It makes you sluggish. It makes your brain slow. So these are some of the signs that we can check in with ourselves and say, right, I'm not feeling good. And speak to somebody that you trust if you can. There's a lot of information I'm gonna share about where you can go if you can't find somebody within your immediate circle that you either trust, or you don't feel there's anybody that would understand you, or you think that they would judge you, so that you are never left alone. Nobody in this life is completely alone. They just don't know where to go where they can be loved. There's a difference. Nobody is completely alone. You just don't know where to go where you can be loved. I'm here. I've had complete strangers pour their heart out to me. Complete strangers, it's just through Facebook. So you're never, ever, ever alone. It's a lie. It's some of those voices that go off in your head. I'm alone. Nobody loves me. Everybody will be better. It's a lie. Understand, it is a lie. It is a lie. Are you hearing me? It is a lie. You know why it's a lie? Because if you contacted me, I am one person, I would not turn you away. So it proves that when you're saying to yourself that nobody cares and nobody loves you and you'll be better off dead, I am telling you it is a lie. It's a lie from the pit of hell. It is a lie. You just don't know where to go for love. Come, I will show you where to go. Come to me. Come to me. I'm not saying I can solve all your problems, but I'm saying that if it's a phone call and we have to sit on the phone in silence, or I listen to you crying for an hour or 2 hours, I am proving to you that this thing that you've told yourself that nobody cares, nobody wants you, it's a lie. It is a lie. Because there is one crazy African woman in England that says if you feel alone and that nobody cares, she is telling you in front of however many people are going to watch this that she cares. So you can bin that lie right now. Bin it. And I know many people on here that if you inbox them and said, this is how I'm feeling, trust me, they will love on you, because we love people and we realize that your life is of value and it is important. I don't know what's happened to you. I can't explain it. I can't tell you why you were abused. I can't tell you why your marriage failed. I can't tell you why you lost your child. I can't tell you why you were humiliated and you lost your job. I can't tell you why you have financial issues. I can't tell you why, but I can tell you that you are not alone, and that you are going through it. Guaranteed, 700,000 other people are going through it. They just didn't connect. 700,000 people that take their life every year, they just should have just been connected. Because if those 700,000 people had been speaking to each other, they would realize that what their pain, their grief, their sadness, their loss, their despair, their despondency wasn't unique. There is no emotion that has not been felt by somebody. And I'm not saying that it invalidates what you're feeling. What I'm saying is it validates what you're feeling. It's quite the opposite. All you need to do is go and find that person that either understands or is feeling or has felt what you feel. And then you won't be alone. And then they can say, well, actually, yeah, I went through that. Oh, did you? How did that? And you can be a support system to that person or to those people. You are never on your own. You just don't know where to go. And I'm praying that today will enable people to understand that you can go somewhere. There are many sanctuaries. We just need to point people in the right direction to find them. If somebody is in a crisis, you may need to help them, get some mental health access. So if someone wants to end their life, you also have to know that it's not your fault. Helping someone with suicidal thoughts can have an impact on your own emotional or mental health, because depending on what it is that has driven them to that state, can be a lot. People think of suicide for different reasons. If someone is exposed to a risk factor, it needs to be assumed that suicide may be an option. So when you know that somebody who has gone through certain things, let's say, for example, somebody's been abused. This is just an example that's come off the top of my head. Let's say somebody's been abused and they're thinking that their abuser is going to be put away, and they have hedged everything on their abuser being locked up for them to be able to live, and that person is set free. Those scenarios have a devastating effect on somebody's mental health. And it most certainly can lead people to have suicidal thoughts and tendencies. So for you who are known to that person, you need to keep an eye on them and encourage them and not leave them to their own thoughts, because their thoughts will be dark. So I've just used that as an example. Yeah, it could be a financial issue where you know that somebody's losing the house, their wife has left, blah, blah, blah. And you know that they're going to be going through some tough times. Check in on them. How are you feeling? Is there anything I can do to help? You know I'm here for you. Don't ever feel that you're alone. Those kind of things is helpful. Don't Bible bash. Don't invalidate. Don't talk too much. Like I said, sometimes silence is very, very golden. It's 9:00. If you want me to continue, just give me a thumbs up. I think this is just too important for me to just come off here. So if you want me to stay and for us to finish this live, just let me know by the number of thumbs up and stuff, and then I will continue. I'll just finish. Okay, guys. Okie dokie. Ooh, this is a lot tonight. This is a lot. This is a lot. And thank you guys so much for your comments, and I'm going to try and read as many comments as I can, because I know whatever you guys are saying is definitely helping somebody. Please share this live if you haven't shared it already. Just click the share button and get more people on here and more exposed, because you don't know whose life this is going to change. Like I shared with you just now, I just made a comment, under something, and this young lady says to me, I was going to take my life yesterday. Just yesterday, she was going to kill herself. Every life is precious, but it's about those contemplating suicide changing their perspective of how they view their lives. And we've got to do whatever we can to change that perspective. Thank you, Lord. It's been a heavy one. So how can we help? So if you're worried about somebody that who may be contemplating suicide or has come to speak to you about committing suicide, talk to them about their thoughts. You see, sometimes we think that if we talk about something, we're going to make it worse. It's kind of like grief. People, it's like they'll talk to you and not want to ask how you're doing, because somehow the person's going to die a second time. I don't know. It's very bizarre. But, it's important that you give people, you see, half the reason why that person is in that space of having suicidal thoughts is because they haven't been speaking. So, it's like it defeats the whole purpose by not speaking to them. Because the whole reason why they're having the thoughts is because they're not speaking. I did something very interesting during the week. It might sound crazy. I think I shared it with you when I was promoting this this topic, where I said I was feeling off about something. And I actually spoke to myself in the third person. And like I addressed myself like I was addressing somebody else. And I was like, Dilys, the reason why this has happened is because blah, 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 blah. So for example, Dilys, you know what? It's okay if you're not feeling the best. You've done really well under the circumstances and dealing with this issue. Don't feel that you are somehow regressing, and don't feel that you failed. Understand that you've come a really long way. You've done very well, and things will sort it out. You've prayed about it, so you can park it. Do you trust God to solve the issue for you? Yes, you do. So just continue to walk in that space of faith and just keep going. You might fall a couple of times, but it's okay. You can call this person. I spoke to myself like that, out loud. I find when thoughts are in my head, it has more of an opportunity to grow wings. So what I tend to do now is speak out loud and speak to myself. For the first time, I spoke to myself like I was not myself. Like, Dilys, you need to do this. It was so helpful. Try it. Try it and come back and tell me what you think. It was very helpful. So what are we saying? If you want to help somebody, speak to them. Let them speak. Don't judge them. Don't preach at them. Let them speak. Let them offload. We have a tendency to want to fix. Sometimes just shut up. Don't speak. Let them pour their heart out. Look interested. Care. Be compassionate. If you have to ask a question, make sure it's relevant and it's not one that sounds like judgment in any way, shape or form, because a person will shut down. They will go back to, see, I knew no one would understand me. Don't tell them the reasons why they have to live. They know already. They don't need you to tell them. Just listen. Just tell them that they are loved. Tell them that they are important. Tell them that they are not alone. Tell them that you are there. It makes all the difference. So, little things like saying hello to somebody, just with the example I just gave, you know, can make people feel invisible. And, you know, depending on where you live in different countries, the way society is structured lends itself to people feeling very isolated. That is how somebody can die and be in their flat for 3 freaking years and nobody knows the person's dead. Yeah? People feel very invisible. I know that could never be my story. But the point is, it should never be anybody's story. It shouldn't be anybody's story. There must be somebody that should know that this person, I've not seen them for a couple of days. What's going on? Food for thought. I think I already mentioned that always try and ask somebody what happened as opposed to what is wrong with you. And I'm just going to do this in the order in which I have. So a lot of the information that I have used today is from healthline.com, Rethink Mental Illness, World Health Organization, and the Samaritans. Now, Shell Robinson sent me, and this is why I'm saying that, this is why I say I love you people, because you are just too much. This afternoon, Shell sent me a WhatsApp message with a whole list of resources for people who are suffering from suicidal tendencies, where they can get support. I'd already had my list, but it was that important to her that she actually sent me a whole list of stuff just in case. Can you please show her some love by sending some hearts? Because for me, it really touched my heart. So show Shell Robinson some love, because she's a woman that has also had a lot of, you know, struggles. She shares some of her mental health struggles quite openly. She has done here. But what she did this afternoon, it proves my point that when people have gone through something, they just need to be connected to somebody else that has gone through, so that you understand you're not on your own. And this is why when we go through trials of life, I pray that we are able to overcome them, because what we then become is a testimony and testament to what is possible. I say this about myself all the time. What you're seeing is just the grace of God in motion. And that what I went through and what I have been through in my life, and I've never shared my full story, you know, what I've been through from childhood to adulthood, all you're seeing is what is possible. What is possible when a woman nurses her husband for however many years and the person dies on her unexpectedly. What you're looking at is what is possible. So when somebody says, look, you know, my husband died and I was pregnant at the time, I'm saying there is something that can come from this that is possible for you. That people who are going to face the inevitable situation of losing a spouse can look at you and say, this is what is possible. This is why we try not to give up. This is why we don't condemn and we encourage. Because we need people to hold on so that somebody who is going through what you're going through knows that it is possible and it can be done. That the fact that you're going through is not the end of your story. It's actually the beginning. What you need is the strength and the support from others to hold you up, to prop you up when you just want to give up and die. And are you a coward for that? No, you're not. Your pain is too much and we are the ones that have failed you. We, your community, we, your family, we are the ones that have failed you, that we didn't spot the signs, that we didn't check in enough with you. It's our fault. We take the responsibility and we apologize to you. We are sorry. We didn't do right by you. We failed at being our brother's keeper. That is where we went wrong. We failed at not listening to what you were saying silently. We failed in not being able to read between the lines. And for that, I apologize. It is not your fault that you have been made to walk a path of life that you didn't bargain for. It's not your fault. But what it is it is your story. Own it. Let us help you. Let us support you. It can be very painful. Sometimes it's like, I understand. I've been there to a degree. I don't want to invalidate anybody's experience. But if you will allow the help, I can promise you before man and God, there is always somebody that would want to help you. Reach out. There are people there. So in conclusion, what I would like to say, or maybe I should read some comments first. William says, sometimes life just becomes uninteresting and meaningless. What French, I can never ever pronounce this word properly, existentialist called the absurd. I hope I pronounced it right. That just always gets me. Aisha says, wow, the topic is deep and thank you. Thank you so much. Life is deep. So the loss of life is huge. It's huge. For somebody to lose their life, it's huge. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. Aisha says, understand my journey. Don't judge me. One day you may have to walk in my shoes and travel the same journey. Suicide is real. It's just by grace. Oh, yeah. Tasha says, amen. Katie Scott says, being strong is not a choice. Margarita Cruz says, there was a time in my life I didn't want to be alive anymore. The only reason I never thought of taking my life was not because of me, but I kept thinking the pain my family will feel, and I don't feel ashamed to admit it. God bless you. And I'm so glad, because you know something? The other lady whose post I responded to, who said she was thinking of committing suicide yesterday, she said, I don't feel ashamed to tell you. Do you know how blessed that made me feel? That we need to take the stigma away from suicide. Don't look at it, oh, so you committed suicide. You wanted to commit suicide. Oh, that's very weak. If I see any comments like that here, they're coming off. If I see any comments that are judgmental, disrespectful, anything of that nature, they're coming off. I'm just telling you now. Aisha says, God got you. Amen. Anita Agri says, as a teenager, a young married neighbor left her 3 little children with a neighbor. Thereafter, she went to the top of our tower block in Stratford and threw herself off the building. On the way down, one of her arms was ripped off by an open window. Her mother had also committed suicide by jumping in front of a train. It appears that there may be hereditary factors at play regarding mental health. Let me tell you something. Was it Bob Marley that said, when the rain falls, it doesn't fall on one man's housetop? Everything negative, that happens to somebody else. It is just by the grace of God it hasn't happened to us. Just by the grace of God, it hasn't happened to us. I repeat, just by the grace of God, it hasn't happened to us. We cannot afford to be disconnected from the pain of others. We can't. We really can't. Because the evil day comes to every man. It will knock on that. Even we ourselves that are watching that haven't been through maybe that level of hurt or depression or sadness, even us. What you have to understand is, I didn't know 5 years ago that I was going to be widowed. I had no idea. I had no idea. But I was. That was my experience that I hadn't bargained for. Someone is maybe losing a child, or, somebody's marriage breaking up. You don't know what's going to happen. And I'm saying for that reason, we need to be educated so that even if we are in a situation where we are feeling suicidal, we can verbalize what we need. Because another thing that is challenging is people not being able to articulate what it is they need. I'm very blessed. I have certain people that no matter what I'm going through, I confide in them. I have somebody that I can speak to. I have a few people very close to me that I can speak to them without judgment. Start to educate yourself on different things so that you can be that soul that that person can run to. Denise says, sometimes it's good to show your vulnerability and not pretend to be strong. Pretending to be strong will have a negative, I believe that word is, impact on your physical and mental health. That's very true. I went through that when I was grieving. I said, you know what? I don't want, when people said be strong, I said, for who? Who am I being strong for? I'm not being strong for nobody. I am weak, I'm broken, and I want to be on the floor and I want to cry. Don't tell me to be strong. So that was me. NM said, love you too. Thank you so much for being here and for your support. Ulysses said, some medications can also make you feel suicidal. That's true. Hugs to you, Anita. Kerry says, hugs. Thank you so much. Cheryl says, I'm coming off medication can make you suicidal as well. Thank you very much. That's true. Denise said, just be real, sis. Is that when my mascara was about to run? Doris Forson, thank you for being on here. Princess, bless you too. Thank you. Let me see. Lots of love to you, Akuya. Thank you for being on here. I didn't see you when you came on. God bless you. Thank you so much. Gosh, there's so many messages here. Let me try and read from some people who haven't commented. Mami says, parents have to be careful about the words they use when they are angry with their children, especially children who are... Okay, let's go back. Especially children who are mentally vulnerable. A co-worker lost her beautiful 18-year-old daughter to suicide. Her last words to her daughter was, I'm done with you. I'm not doing this anymore. The next time she saw her daughter was 24 hours later in the rain under their magnolia tree dead. She used her depression pills to kill herself. She swallowed the entire bottle. Too tragic. The daughter's depression started at age 12 when she got a phone and was on social media. Dealing with cyberbullying, we have to be careful giving our children access to social media and all its harmful consequences. Thank you for talking about this topic, Dilys. God bless you. And thank you so much, Mami. And as I said, it's such a vast topic and there is so much that, yes, cyberbullying and all of that stuff is there. And we're definitely going to have to come back to talk about this as well. Kerry says, I've been there and people bully me and still it hurts. And I'm shamed publicly and I refuse to be put back in that dark place. So I speak out because this saves lives. Knowing our rights and seeking support helps. Thank you very much. You're absolutely right. And, and I've seen stuff where it's like, why don't you just go and commit suicide? If only people knew how irresponsible, evil, demonic, and foolish those words were, they wouldn't utter them. Really. Aisha said, we need to encourage one another and build each other up. Very true. Yemisi says, I know someone who prayed consistently to die. This person is a devout Christian and knew suicide is a sin. This is the only reason they did not take their life. I was led to have a conversation with them and the story came pouring out. Yeah, you see, people have different religious beliefs. Different people have different things of what they can cope with, different things of what they can cope with, and it's just for us to be that listening ear to give them that support. Shell says, shared in groups, it may help one person. God bless you. I really appreciate that. Mame Oda, thank you for being here. Esther says, for sure, I will share. God bless your heart. God bless you too. Akosiadod, big sister Akos, God bless you. How are you doing? Thank you for sharing, Kerry, as well. Shell says, it's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. I love that. A permanent solution to a temporary problem. Situations can change. Change is the only constant in life. That's so, so true. A permanent solution to a temporary problem. Aisha says, thank you. We need to appreciate people we do. Elizabeth, how are you doing? Elizabeth Williams, how are you doing, my love? Lynette says, it adds to the pressure. Jay Abika, thank you for being on there. How are you doing, my love? Anita says, being judgmental is never good. It really, if you've noticed, I hate judgmental people. I don't do well with people that just judge. I don't do well at all. But to judge those feelings, suicidal, that's just nonsensical. You'd be surprised. Maybe Sajicum, thank you for being here. Hi, Patience. How are you doing, my love? Princess says, I'm hearing you, but can't help thinking you are an absolutely stunning woman. Oh, bless you. Thank you. You should have seen me a couple of hours ago. Kerry says, people need to stop mocking others for having mental health issues. Trauma, many people are just trying to get up and be supportive and trying to, and give reasons, supportive and give reasons to live. Tackling the underlying issues, depression, before suicide, so spot the signs. Absolutely. Joseph Santo, thank you for joining on here. Amari says, Mamisa, absolutely, we need to reconstruct our approach to parenting, which has been distorted to the point that we use negative language and violence to discipline children. This has a detrimental impact to the underdeveloped brain and can lead to adverse adult health outcomes, which include suicide. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something, because we're talking about children. Now, about 4 years ago, I went to a conference, and it was about ACEs, Adverse Childhood Experiences. The lady who was speaking was Dr. Nadine Burke Harris. She's American. Go and research ACEs, even those of you who are adults. And what ACEs actually talks about is being able to address adverse childhood experiences that have been traumatic, whether it be abuse, the exposure to domestic violence or neglect, anything that has caused a child to face trauma, the divorce of even parents. That if early intervention is given, there is a less likely chance of them abusing substances and even getting cancer, certain cancers. Very, very, very important study. I even wrote a proposal on it for some people, where I was talking about joining the health, education and legal services for children. This was for Ghana. And I made reference to the work of Dr. Nadine Burke Harris, and was trying to find a way of even bringing her, to Ghana for an event. Find out about it. Because for those of you that have children who have been bullied, or they are from a broken home through divorce, or maybe a parent has died, like in my house, then try and get them that early intervention. It will change not just their life, but that study showed, I think there were 70,000 people that took part of that study. That study showed that even in adult life, there is a health impact. A positive health impact in being able to address those issues from when they're younger. And of course, kids having, suicidal tendencies, as I've already mentioned, it is the 4th highest rate of death globally for 15 to 29-year-olds. We can't afford to be losing our young people like that. We can't. Okay, so Elizabeth says, church is meant to be a place of succor. I can never pronounce that word either. But most churches now contribute to suicide rates. They discriminate instead of embracing. You're absolutely right. Alison Asafwe says, sometimes being greedy to have it all and lose brings shame because they are used to a lifestyle that they may be looked down on. Oh, okay, let me read this. That maybe look down upon others, hence don't see why they should live. That has actually happened. There was actually a case like that some years back. This is a real life story that happened to an African American man who had a well-paid job, private everything for the family, pure lavish life. Wife never wanted to work. She actually was the worst, looking down on poor friends. Suddenly he was made redundant, money run down, couldn't keep up with the lifestyle, let alone pay bills, and didn't want to go for a low-paid job because of his arrogant, greedy self. Eventually killed his family and killed himself too. What did he gain from this? Money isn't all that. He could have asked for help. Wife could have worked to support him too, but rather they couldn't live to teach their kids that having one another to talk and love is peaceful enough to overcome problems. And yeah, and this is, you see, as I'm saying, that everybody's reality is different. And this is why I'm saying that for me, I'm trying not to judge and say, because that's the space that you are in. Is it right to take the life of your family? Hell no. But I'm saying that when these thoughts occur and we are connected to people, let's see what we can do to spot the signs and do what we can to help. Because people that commit suicide, as I mentioned, due to crisis, they do speak. They do speak. And some of us are aware of what's going on. We just may not be clued up enough to see the signs. I'm going to make sure I finish this by 9:30. Awamuriku, thank you so much. God bless you. Thanks for being on here. Esther says, well said, meet them at their point of need. Absolutely. Awol says, I greet each and everyone on this great platform. God bless you. And this is what I'm saying, that, you know, the respect that you have for each other here is very humbling. I really do appreciate it. User Champon says, thanks for bringing this difficult issue up, Dilys. Thank you too for being here. I used to say words are powerful. Language, yes, they absolutely are. Joseph Arthur, thank you for being on here. Abana says, and a hug to help, speaks a million words. I am a very huggy person. Oh my gosh. I hug the life out of people. I love hugs. I'm very, very, very tactile. I just love hugs. Michelle says, ask what has happened. Most people are traumatized. Nothing is wrong with these people. You're absolutely right. Omara, how are you doing? Lovely to have you on here. Amara says, silence is a response. Absolutely. Silence is a valid response. Absolutely. Sometimes just be quiet. Don't think you have to advise people. It's lovely to have you on here, Omara. God bless you. Sylvia Charles says, indeed, but when it's family that have caused the problem, it's very hard. Oh yeah, of course it is. But there are people outside of your family. Like I said, it's just about knowing where to go. And it is hard. Life is hard. You know, I'm not even going to suggest that it's not. And a lot of people that have suffered horrible traumas has been from the family. Like, seriously. Eric Boating, thank you for being on here. Yemisi says, depression is real. It is a disease. Responses like, pull yourself together. Oh my God. And just pray, etc. are the very worst things to say to them. We need to take the trouble to understand again and to listen. Hi, Chanel. I was wondering where my girl was. Chanel says, listening and just letting someone know you're there is creating a place for someone in need. That's why I love working as a coach. So those of you that have worked with me, you experience what I call holding space, where we're just sitting there in silence. And it's comfortable. And, you know, as people, we need to start to get used to being comfortable with silence. Now, I'm going to have to wrap up. So let's just go through this conclusion. Stop focusing on the act of suicide and look at what leads up to, or what has led up to, that desire in that person wanting to commit that act. Don't just focus on, oh, you want to commit suicide. Think of what has led up to the person wanting to take their life. Because if you focus on the backstory, you can change what they want to do at the end of that story. Very important. Look at the backstory. What can we do? I've got what I've just called the 3 S's. Be slow to judge, be sensitive, and be sensible. What have I said? Yes, the 3 S's. So be slow to judge, be sensible, and be sensitive to the needs of others. Be sensitive through that person's crisis. 3 S's. Slow to judge, sensitive, be sensible. It is not about you. Money does not bring you joy. Stop assuming that if somebody is financially secure, they have no right to either be depressed or to be suicidal. It is something that a lot of African broke people think. We tend to feel that But this person has got money, so how can they be suicidal? How can they be depressed? It's a very, very flippant, ignorant, and foolish conclusion to come to. Because if that was the case, famous people like Robin Williams, busy making the whole world laugh, but inside he was dying. I'm sure he was not broke. Money is not what stops somebody from committing suicide. And you see, and these are some of the things we need to get out of our heads, yeah? When you look at Michael Hutchins from In Excess, I mean, his death really shocked me. He hung himself. Famous, world-class band, sold, I don't know, was it 45 million copies worldwide of their albums? Great guy, yeah? Killed himself. Caroline Flack, the lady that was doing Love Island and stuff, she killed herself because of, depression and the whole world coming at her because she was accused of being violent towards her partner. You see, different things happen at different times and different reasons pop up for people when it comes to suicide. There is always, some of the time, there is a period where intervention is possible. But if somebody's hell-bent on wanting to kill themselves, sometimes we have to accept that too, that there may be nothing that we can do. We also need, as people of colour, to stop thinking that suicide is something that white people do. We black people, we're strange, we have some funky myths that we have going on in our head. No, it's not, yeah? So let me just put that out there. Suicide, and please listen to this, suicide does not mean that the person doesn't want to live. It means they are suffering with living. Do not assume that a person just wants to die for the heck of it, because that's not the case. Sometimes, all the time, they just don't know how to manage the life that they have been given. That's all. If they could exchange it for one that didn't have pain, they'd exchange it. But unfortunately, life isn't designed like that. Whatever we have going on, we have to somehow find a solution and walk through it. Suicide is not selfishness, neither is it cowardice. Get that out of your head. Stop calling people who commit suicide cowards or selfish. If anything, we are selfish for wanting to force them to live in pain. Stop it. Our language is important. If we want to be that person that someone can confide in, watch your comments on social media, watch your comments within your family, watch your comments in the workplace, because people are listening. You do not know who is suffering and who is contemplating, because it's not stamped across people's forehead that I feel like that I want to commit suicide. Watch your language. Let's become a little bit more intentional. One of the other things I put down here was, don't patronize, empathize. Don't patronize. Just empathize. It will go a long way. Your faith can help you if you're a person of faith. Yes? But be sensitive. I am a woman of faith. I don't ram it down people's throats. I have many friends who are atheists. That is their choice. I respect their choice. It doesn't stop me praying for them. It doesn't stop me loving them. But I don't feel the need to constantly tell them every day that they're going to go to hell because that's what I feel, or, I don't have those conversations. It's just not necessary. And like I said, it's not about you, it's about them. We also, I think I would be doing us an injustice by not mentioning, we need to ask for help. Go somewhere. It doesn't have to be in your family if you don't trust anyone in your family to help you, or you feel, or the situation is your family are the cause of your pain, okay? I'm going to give you some links. Shell, can you do me a massive favor? If you're still on here, can you post the link that you sent me? And I will post mine as well. But if you can post the link, I'm going to call out some information. Now, the Suicide Prevention Hope Line, if you have a pen ready, or actually, as I call it out, if somebody could type it, that would be great. So the Suicide Prevention Hope Line, UK, Suicide Prevention Hope Line UK, the number is 0800 068 4141. So that's 0800 068 4141. There is a website called findahelpline.com. So any kind of helpline that you need, whether it's suicide prevention, whether it's anything, whatever, If you go on there, it has a whole list of numbers. So it's www.findahelpline.com. Then we have the National Suicide Prevention Line. This is for America because I have some people that watch in the States as well. National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Their number is 1-800-273-8255 in brackets talk. That is 1-800-273-8255 in brackets talk. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Now there's the Maytree as well. That's in the UK. Maytree as in M-A-Y, tree as in T-R-E-E. Their number is 0207 263 7070. 0207 263 7070. They give help for those feeling suicidal, short-term respite for those feeling suicidal, COVID pending, because even with the Samaritans, they did, originally they would come out to you in person. So the Samaritan helpline, where did I put that one? Can somebody post the telephone number for the Samaritan? I think when I did my cut and paste, I lost that number. So if somebody can post the Samaritans helpline, that would be great. It's a short number. That would be amazing if you could please do that. And the resources I said I used were healthline.com, Rethink Mental Illness, World Health Organization, and the Samaritans. Thank you so much for whoever was posting, because I could just see it popping up. There's so many messages here. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shell, for that. Thank you, Mami. God bless you. So those of you who are in America, wherever, do share. Kimmy, thank you so much. I don't recognize your name, so if you're new, thank you for being on here. Thank you very, very much, guys. You are wonderful people. Really, really wonderful people. Whew, that was a lot. Now, we've come to the end of Speak with Dilys today. Thank you, guys, for being on here for this long. It's been a bit of a long one. Thank you, Lord. Father God, in the name of Jesus, I just thank you for this evening. I thank you, Lord, that you've just given me the strength to talk about something that I am by no means qualified to talk about. Thank you, Lord, that you have given this space to people to feel safe and to speak. Lord, my prayer is that if there's anybody that is watching this or that will watch this, that is feeling suicidal, that has lost hope, that, Lord, that they will reach out and that they will not feel ashamed, that they will not feel that they will be judged or be laughed at or ridiculed, but Lord, that they will find their helper. So Lord, I pray that anybody that is feeling depressed, is feeling that life is meaningless. Lord, I know that there is nobody for as long as they have breath that their life is meaningless. So Lord, I pray that whatever I can do to help, that I have the ability, that I have the wisdom and the grace to do so. Father, I thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. People, thank you so much. I am so tired now. I feel so drained. But have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. My coffee is so cold. I made the coffee and it's cold now. So I'm not going to keep you on here much longer. Please let the conversation continue. And I shall see you, by God's grace, next week. Ciao, ciao. Have a good week. Be good. And be kind. Be compassionate. And as I always say, in all you're getting, get understanding. Understand how people feel, how they think, and just be that person for them. God bless y'all. I shall speak to you next week. Bye, guys.